Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Chance, and it's time to talk about some board games. Now, it's Friday, so that means I need to do some hot takes, and today I have some fantastic animal-based filler games. Now, I absolutely love all three of these games, and let's just dive into this and see if these games are going to be right for you. Kicking things off, we are going to start with Pray Another Day. Now, this is a game that I picked up for, I think, like 10 bucks on Amazon. I just saw the art and I was like, yeah, I need to buy that. I mean, look at this. We got this crazy bright orange bear here and all the way down to this like green owl staring down this mouse who was chewing on a crazy little mushroom creature. Yeah, I had to have this. And of course, this kind of looks like the printer ran out of ink when they got the boxes delivered and the company was just like, whatever, let's just ship them. So fantastic, fantastic production right out of the gate. Now, the reason I like this game though is because this reminds me of, or it gives me the same feelings as something like Duel for Cardia or R or Brave Rats, like that style of game where players are going to put down a card simultaneously, then you reveal them and see who wins the duel. So now, instead of those games that I mentioned, those are 2-player games, whereas Pray Another Day is 2 to 5 players, which is great because that means now I can use it as a filler. We can play that style of game on a game night while we're waiting for people to show up, or while we're like in between games, we need to like cool down a little bit, after something super aggressive. But the way this one works is that players have a set of cards, number 1 through 5. The number 1 is a bear, all the way down to number 5, which is the mouse. So you have a little bit of a food chain thing going on. Then you're just going to play a number of rounds until someone has 5 points. Now, a round works in, you're basically going to go on multiple hunts in a round. Basically, a round will end once you're down to 1 player, or you're at the end of the 3rd hunt, or whatever. So, players are going to, at the start of a round, they're going to choose cards simultaneously, put them face down on the table, and then whoever's kind of moderating the game is going to do a countdown. They're going to be like, number 1, number 2, number 3, so on. But essentially, if someone has played that number card, that's when they're going to reveal it. So let's say that the moderator says number 1 and someone has played that bear card, and it's number 1. So they reveal that card. Now, if multiple people played a bear card, they would both reveal and nothing would happen. It's kind of like they cancel. Basically, the theme is that there was a little too much competition out there, so the prey got away. So the 2 bears, they don't get to do anything. But you're still alive, so no worries. But if only one person played a bear, this is where the fun happens, because now that one person gets to go on a hunt, and they get to look at who else on the table still has a face-down card. They get to point at that person and guess what card they played. So maybe they point at someone, they're like, I think you're the number 3, the lynx. You couldn't make a decision, so you went in the middle, right? So if they're right, that player gets eliminated for the round, and then you basically just continue the countdown. If they're wrong, then that player just says, nope, and play continues. Now, if you're wrong, that player is now in more danger because you have just eliminated 2 possible cards that they played. Because they're not the bear, they're not the lynx. So that increases the risk of being hunted by other players, which is fantastic. But yeah, so this is going to continue. You're going to go on to number 2, number 3, and so on until you get down to number 5. Now, if there's only 1 player left, the round ends. That player gets 2 points. But if there's multiple players left and it's not the end of round 3 yet, or the hunt 3, I should say, because hunts and rounds are different, but whatever. If not the end of hunt number 3, basically you're going to go back again. Now, what's cool about this is that the cards that players played are going to stay face up on the table. So that means as you play the next hunt, that second and third hunt, the players still alive are going to have a narrowing of options. They're going to have a reduced set of cards to choose from. And that means that you get to do those mind games that double think, like trying to guess what someone else is going to do, or try to figure out what you should be putting down to avoid someone else, trying to trick somebody into making the wrong decision. So it just has that player interaction that I really, really enjoy in a game. And the last part about this is that if you have survived at the end of the hunt, now if multiple players survived at the end of the hunt, it is going to be the sum of the cards that wins it. So remember I said that mouse is number 5? So if you have that mouse out, that means you have 5 value towards your total round value. So essentially if you played like the 3, 4, 5, that is a good way to kind of guarantee yourself 2 points if you manage to survive. So that's where like playing that bear, if you're just like, I'm going to play the bear, wolf, and lynx, that's a 1, 2, and a 3. That means you have 6 total, which means the mouse is basically like most of the other person's score. So if you don't manage to hunt those other players, that could be a very low value score, and you're just going to get like 1 point versus the 2 points that the high value player got. So it's a really interesting decision space where you're trying to figure out, can I eliminate the other player, or do I need to play one of those smaller animal cards to have that big value, just so I know if I survive at the end, I can kind of come out with the victory still. Yeah, I'm going to do a full review on this because I think this is brilliant. This is one of my favorite filler games now, and it's just great. Art's great. I love the little food tokens you get. Like they're these little crazy mushroom people on the box. I don't understand, but fantastic. Okay, so that's probably another day. let's move on from that. Let's go on to the second game I want to talk about. Now, this one I don't own. A friend owns this one. And it's a game that's been reprinted. It's been around for a long time. So it's Botswana. Botswana is a Rainer Knizia game. I believe it was reprinted based on a game called Quandary, I want to say. I think I have a friend that we were playing with that owns that game. But yeah, I've never played the original version. I've just played Botswana. Now, I do have one gripe with Botswana. It costs like $25. It's like a deck of, I don't know, 30 cards maybe? But it does come with these really cool screen printed animal meeples, and they look amazing. But it's a game that I was like, this should cost $10 at most. It should cost about the same much as Pray Another Day. So it makes Botswana a hard thing to recommend because it is a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoy playing it. I think it's a great family game, and it is a really nice production. Those animal meeples are beautiful, and I love having them in front of me. So yes, it does add to the experience of the game. But it's just totally unnecessary, and I kind of wish that they would have made the game a little more affordable for everyone to enjoy this, because it is overproduced for what it is. But yeah, so if you're willing to kind of burn that $25 and be like, I'm spending an extra $15 for these mostly pointless animal meeples, then that's your decision. Do with your money as you will. Like I said, I have a friend that bought it, so I don't have to worry about the cost of the game. But Botswana, let's get into the gameplay here. The gameplay is fantastic because you're going to be dealt out the hand of cards, and all the cards are going to be dealt out in the game. So you're going to have, each animal has like a 0 to a 5, I think. So 6 cards for every animal. I think there's like 5 animals on the table. But what's cool about this is on your turn, you're going to play one of those cards to one of those basically columns. So basically each animal is going to have its own column of cards. You're just going to play one out there. And then you're going to take an animal meeple. But it doesn't have to be the animal meeple that you played to. You just take any animal meeple. And this is basically you kind of making a bid on who you think is going to end up being worth points at the end of the round, because this is going to continue going around the table. Players are going to continue playing cards to those different columns for each animal until one animal has all 6 cards out. So once you hit that 6, the round ends immediately, and then you're going to do scoring. Now, the way the scoring works is that the last card in every column is the point value for the animal meeples in front of you. So if that last card is a 0, and let's say there's a 4 and a 5 above the 0, the 4 and the 5 don't matter. It's just a 0. So like the elephants, if it had a 4, 5, 0, the elephant meeples are worth nothing, which is devastating if you had elephant meeples. Now, if you managed to like burn the 0 early and you got that, like, let's say you got a 3 out as the last card for one of them, it's like, okay, now each one of those animal meeples worth 3. So just trying to figure out how to get the card that you want to be as the last card in that column is like that's the critical puzzle. Like you're trying to say, like, oh, look, you're looking at your hand, you're trying to say, oh, I think I have a little bit of control over giraffes this time, so maybe I kind of like play some cards into the hippos and I start taking giraffe tokens because I think I can get the giraffe to score high. But you're always at a risk of if you put too many cards into one of the animals, so like maybe the hippos is like at 4 and you're like, oh, if I put the 5th card down, that allows someone else to end the game and I need to get a giraffe card out. So you're like stressing about, oh, I can't dump cards over here because that risk allowing other people to take control. So when you can have control in this game is so important. How much control you think you can pull off is kind of the critical part of this game. And then what's really cool is even if you have a bad hand, even if you're like, oh, I just have like the 2s and 3s and everything, I don't have the 0s or the 5s. Like the 0s and 5s are what really matter in the game, right? Like if someone plays a 5 out, you know it's probably going to get buried if they put them out too early. You're like, okay, well that's a dead animal. There's a 5, 4, and a 3 out right now, and basically they're only worth 0 to 2 points. So I don't want those meeples anymore. So being able to manage and control those is super important. But even if you're like, I don't have any control over any of these animals, you get to pay attention to what other people are doing. You see someone play an elephant card and take a meerkat, and you're like, why'd you play the elephant card and take the meerkat? What are you up to? So and then you're like, well, I don't have a lot of control, so I'm going to play a giraffe and I'm going to take a meerkat. Like, I don't know why you're taking meerkats, but I'm going to follow you because I think you have something, you know something about meerkats that I don't know. So I love that you get to, you're playing off your own hand, but you're also playing off of what the other players are doing. You're trying to judge what the other players are trying to achieve during the round. And that is forcing you, it's kind of like creating this competition where you see someone take that giraffe and you're like, well, if drafts are going to score, I can't let you get a huge lead against me, so I need to take a draft. Then another player's like, well, you both have drafts, so I need to have a draft because I don't want you guys to run away with the lead from me. So it's just this. And then if you can like just bomb something, you can just be like, oh, hey, you guys thought that was going to be worth 5 points? Hey, here's a 1. It's worth 1 now. It's just a brilliant little system to even out the luck of the draw, and there's definitely luck associated with this game. I think you're supposed to play at least 1 round per player at the table, but they're all pretty fast. They play pretty snappy, and it is a pretty easy game to score. Which, yeah, as a filler, fantastic, just fantastic. It's a real one of my favorite ones. Usually, Reiner Knizia is very hit or miss for me. It's either I love his games or I'm like, this is terrible. And this is one of those games that I'm like, yep, I love it. It's fantastic. Okay, so that's Botswana. I think another fantastic filler along with Pray Another Day. Let's talk about my last animal themed game here. And this is going to be an interesting one because this is Cheese Thief. Cheese Thief is one that a couple years ago, I probably would have had zero interest in even trying this game. I think my gaming tastes have definitely shifted a little bit. I made that video, conflictual versus competitive or whatever. Not the best definitions for that, but you'd have to watch the video to figure out what I'm talking about. Cheese Thief is one where it is a fun game to try and win, but if you are the type of person that wants to have a clear path to victory, yeah, this isn't for you. The reason I got this one is because I think I've heard this talked about a little bit on Shut Up and Sit Down's podcast, I want to say, but I also watched the No Rules Barred playthrough of this, and it was just like, this looks like so much fun that I feel like I want to experience this. And it's hard to, when watching No Rules Barred, it's kind of like hard to really want one of those games because it's like, you got these improv actors, and it's like, well, my group of gamers is not a bunch of improv actors, so is this game going to hit the same as it does for a group of improv actors creating a show for YouTube, right? But yeah, so let's talk about what this is. Cheese Thief is a social deduction game. It is like a 10-minute social deduction game, though. Now, overall, I still am not like a crazy big fan of the social deduction genre. There's a lot of games that just miss, like Avalon, Resistance, Coup. Like all of them are, they're okay, but I don't prefer to play them. Some of my best experiences have been with like Feed the Kraken, although I still think Feed the Kraken has some issues. Mainly being that, like, if you have 9 players, you can end up in a situation where like 5 players are actually playing the game and 4 players are just kind of bystanders. And that kind of sucks. It's like, it's unfortunate when you run into that situation. Now, I did call out, I think on a recent video, I called 23 Knives like my favorite social deduction game, but I will say that game is more, it almost doesn't feel the same as like a social deduction game in like Feed the Kraken category. It feels a little more like social management, and because of those sway cards and stuff, it plays very differently than most social deduction games because you're not like assigned a role. You kind of start with a role, but you have shifting allegiances during the game, which makes it feel very different than something like I said, Feed the Kraken, where you're assigned a role and it's like, this is the role that you want to have win. So back to that issue of like players not being able to participate or players just not choosing to participate, because a lot of social deduction games require a lot of buy-in from players. And if you don't get that buy-in, the game can definitely fall kind of flat. So those longer games can be a bit more risky. They can be stressful. Like if you don't want to be that person lying the whole time, like maintaining a lie for an hour and a half can be very stressful for some people. I'm kind of in that category. I'm not someone that's very good at it. And I feel like, it's something I'm trying to get better at so I can enjoy those games a bit more. But now back to Cheese Thief. The fact that this plays in about 10 minutes makes it so you know it's not going to last very long. You don't have to maintain a lie. You don't have to manipulate people for too long. You don't have to like feel like you're a bad person for too long. Maybe for a little bit, but not for too long. Now, the way the game works is that everyone is going to be dealt out a card in the beginning of the round. Now, there are slight rule variations for 5, 6, 7, and 8 players. They're all very easy. Like the rules are super simple in this game, but I played this at 5 so far, and so that's the rule set I'll focus on. Now, at 5 players, you're going to deal out, so there's 4 sleepyheads and 1 cheese thief. You're going to deal out everyone a card randomly, and 1 person's going to be the cheese thief. And then everyone has a dice and a cup, and you're going to roll that die, put it under the cup. You're going to peek at your own die. You're going to look under it and say, okay, I have a 2 or whatever. Now you're going to move your cup to the center of the table and put the little foam cheese block in the center of the table, basically so everyone can reach everything at the table. Because now what's going to happen is that whoever is the moderator is going to do a countdown. So kind of like Pray Another Day. You're going to do a countdown. You're going to be like, if your die is a number 1, you are now awake. Basically, this is saying like it is 1 a.m. in the morning, and whoever has a die that is 1, they wake up in the night, right? So whoever rolled a 1, now open your eyes and do your actions if you get to. Basically, the way this works is that if you are the cheese thief, you must steal the cheese. So if you wake up, you must steal the cheese when you wake up. Now, if you are a sleepyhead, there you get some options. If you are the only sleepyhead that wakes up in that time frame, so if you wake up at 1 a.m. and you're the only sleepyhead awake, you get to peek at someone else's die. So basically, you get to see when someone else is going to wake up, which is critical information in this game. Now, if you wake up with another sleepyhead, so if multiple sleepyheads wake up together, you don't get to look at someone else's die. You don't get to peek. You just get to look at that person and be like, okay, we're friends. Got it. Now what's interesting though, if a sleepyhead wakes up with a cheese thief, the cheese thief gets to convert them into a follower. And now that person wants the cheese thief to succeed in their theft. Because remember, the cheese thief, when they wake up, they must take the cheese. So if someone sees them take the cheese, now they're a follower. But let's say you have 2 sleepyheads wake up with a cheese thief. Well, the cheese thief now gets to point at one of those people. They are the follower. The other person's just a unfortunate witness. And you might say like, hey, that seems like it's going to be really easy to figure out who the cheese thief is at the end of the game. But this is where I think a cheese thief just does something amazing. You get to the end of the round, you get through 6 a.m. and then you're like, okay, everyone, it is now the morning. Everyone open their eyes. And now you get into the discussion phase. And this is where just the cheese thief provides you with just enough information to allow for really good lies. Like really, really good lies. So remember, like if you have that person that woke up and saw they're like, well, it's easy, guys. That person's the cheese thief. You get to be like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not the cheese thief. You're lying to me. You didn't even wake up with us or whatever. So you can try to come up with that lie, but you got to be careful because you try to have to suss out the information that other players have at the table. So how can you manipulate this lie? How can you make it work for you? Maybe you can try to be like, oh, that person that's accusing you, they're actually the cheese thief. Be like, what are you talking about? I woke up, these two are working together. That's the follower and that's the cheese thief. And so you could be the cheese thief trying to convince other players to vote for the one person that's trying to accuse you. So you turn around that accusation. Now, there's other cool things that happen, like I ran into a situation where I felt like I could have had a much better lie. I could have done it turned out that there was one person that woke up at, I think, 2 a.m. Then I was the cheese thief and I woke up with a sleepyhead at like 4 a.m. So I had to take it. That person became a follower. And then there were 2 people that woke up at 6. Now, the person that woke up at 2, they looked at a die for one of the people that woke up at 6. And they were like, well, the cheese was still here at 2. I know you woke up at 6. And the person at 6 was like, well, the cheese was gone at when we woke up. And then I could have been like, oh, you know what? Well, I woke up at 1 and I looked at this guy's die and it was a 4. So he woke up at 4. So I could have kind of shifted the blame and made it so I gave myself an out and I put the blame on the follower, because if they vote for my follower, then I get away with it. The cheese thief wins. So it's one of those moments where it has just enough information for you to come up with that really good deception in the game, and it doesn't have to last very long. Like as long as things are moving smoothly, you can make it so the game that discussion phase takes like 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how long your group wants to drag it out. I would say having a really good moderator and being aware of when things start to go circular, because when you get into those discussions and like the it's just going in a loop and people are getting a little more frustrated and you see maybe tempers are starting to rise or whatever. If you have I would recommend having someone that can kind of recognize that, or being the person that can recognize that and being able to be like, okay guys, I think it's time to vote. We're not changing any minds. Like it's time to vote for the cheese thief. And then you're just going to do a countdown. 1, 2, 3, you. Whoever has the most votes, they're accused of the cheese thief, and you get to see if the cheese thief got away with it or not. Man, I'm going to do a full review on Cheese Thief. I actually want to do a video on just kind of the purpose of social deduction games, because there was one person at the table that he does not enjoy social deductions. He doesn't see the point. He's kind of like, it doesn't matter. You're not convincing anyone. Like you're just doing a random vote at the end anyway. So why even bother playing this? But to me, like this is it is a game that is bringing about an experience. Like when I think back about the games that I really, really love and the ones I have memories for, like I don't have memories for most of the Euro games I play. Sure, I enjoy them. Like I enjoy playing some Euro games. Like Cryo I really like. I like Manhattan Project Energy Empire. I like Concordia. Like there are these games that I really enjoy playing. I like playing with those puzzles. But if I look back at those, I don't have a strong memory of any one of those games. There's nothing that stands out as being like, oh, I remember this moment when I got this cool efficient engine going or whatever. But for a social deduction game, Like I remember Feed the Kraken when I was the cultist and I managed to convert someone that was like just feeding into someone else's delusions about what was going on in the game, and it was just fantastic. Like I had a fantastic experience with that conversion. That is something that comes up in our conversations multiple times. Like this is something that we repeat when we talk about other social deduction games. When we do Cheese Thief, like now I have that memory of the person that he did not want to play social deduction games. He doesn't enjoy them, but he managed to be, he was my follower in one of the rounds and he managed to take the fall for me. And I was like, hey, you did it. Like that was like, that is a memory I have in that game. So this is a game that can create memories. It is a game that does not overstay its welcome. It is a game that just, it creates an experience around the table. If you have the right group where you guys can say, hey, we're doing this thing, we're going to experience this thing, and the purpose of this is to have that discussion phase. It doesn't matter what happens at the end of that round, it doesn't matter about the votes, because what matters is being able to do that vote, having that discussion, and then doing that vote, and then at the end being like, haha, this is where you guys got it wrong. Like having that as the reveal, and everyone being like, oh man, that was such a good lie, or that was such a good deception, that was such a good, yeah, like just having that moment in that game. And this is where, like, my friend that owns Feed the Kraken, he's kind of like, I kind of want to get rid of Feed the Kraken because I would almost rather play Cheese Thief. Like, it provides that full experience of a social deduction. It gets everyone involved because one of the best things about this one is that Cheese Thief, everyone has a piece of information. Everyone has a part of the puzzle. Everyone needs to participate in it. They need to provide their information for people to try to deduce what happened during the round, because you're trying to figure out when was that cheese stolen, who woke up when. So you want to have the information from every single player. You don't run into the Feed the Kraken situation where only like 3 players are actually doing anything at any given time, and you end up with just, yeah, not half the table could be out of the game and just not playing and not participating. Okay. I probably rambled on way too long about Cheese Thief, but like I said, I want to do kind of a full discussion about like the purpose of social deduction games, like why are they interesting to players, why bother playing them if there's not a clear victory condition, because it's social deduction, right? It's not full deduction. You are given just enough information for that discussion page. And I think that's the purpose of a social deduction game. It gives you just enough information to kind of play with that puzzle and to argue with people and to manipulate others into choosing the wrong person or whatever. And Cheese Thief does it brilliantly. It does exactly what I want of a social deduction game. Yeah, so that'll do it for my video today. Like I said, I rambled way too long about Cheese Thief, but I hope there was something interesting in here for you. I think Prey Another Day is a really nice filler game. I really, really love that one, and it's staying in my collection for a long time because I can see pulling this out all the time. Botswana, fantastic little card game. I just wish it was cheaper. Like, it's a great card game, though. And then Cheese Thief, if you enjoy social deduction games, I think this is an easy one to pick up. If you don't enjoy social deduction games, maybe the short play time for this one might make this one be a little more approachable for your group. Like I said, I can't promise you're going to like social deduction if you just hate them, but I think this one is a little more interesting and provides the full experience that I want from a social deduction game. Okay, so that's going to do it for today. As always, thanks for watching and thanks for spending your time with me, and I will talk to you next time.